investigate the transgressions by individuals involved in the commission of cruelties contrary to human rights. So I think transgressions by individuals involved in it's echoing. Okay. The first thing that is of top priority is, of course, an immediate ceasefire, which I think is on the table right now. But it seems that Hamas, is wanting some clarifications on the details. Those conditions set by the U.S., which is quoted as a diplomatic victory of the U.S., is actually, in fact, not as good as it seems. There are some points to iron out, and I think it has not been fully finalized right now. According to, I think, Al Jazeera's news report of this morning, as early as this morning. It is very important, in our view, that the international community put its due pressure, on Israel and the U.S. To move towards an immediate ceasefire, so that the Palestinians who have been displaced can return. And I think once that is done, then we have to, I believe, we have to look at the root causes, which extends 3/4 of centuries ago, right down to the Nakba of 1948. So we have to look and tackle root causes. Only then lasting peace can be assured. And the next point, I believe, we have to, hopefully the ceasefire proposal will work out, hopefully in days to come. And with that, we also have to look at the possible reconstruction of Gaza, which I think is implied in the ceasefire deal by the US. So I think that is very important as well. And from there, perhaps we can look at the more longer-term goals, like self-determination and a move towards an establishment of a two-state solution, if at all, with equality and justice in place for the Palestinians. Lastly, we must not forget that Israel must be held accountable for its actions as reflected in the ICJ and ICC move or initiatives. And I think those responsible have to be held, responsible for their actions. And also, in this light, it is very important that there should be no interference from certain parties for the ICJ and the ICC to carry out further investigations. So we really hope that, we are optimistic that, some solutions will occur soon, and Failing that, I think the last move, if at all, would be for the international community to consider sanctions, outside the scope of the power equation, because I think the international community is not as helpless as they seem. So I think failing the solution as a last resort, I think the international community should look into sanctions of Israel so that Israel hopefully will be forced to comply with the proposal for ceasefire, reconstruction, and also self-determination. Thank you. I think I'll stop there. Any questions? From BFM, yes. Can you use the speaker, please?
About how BlackRock being given 25% ownership to for Malaysia airports. So BDS Malaysia has already rejected this and urged the government to divest from BlackRock. So has SUHAKAM
You mean BDS Malaysia?
BDS Malaysia,
okay,
yes.
okay.
So has SUHAKAM done anything or urged the government to divest from BlackRock, and will it be issuing any statements in the future?
Yeah, you see, there is this commercial reality here, but of course, we of course are concerned with the involvement of BlackRock, but of course we perhaps at best we can sort of engage with the government to perhaps reconsider, its decision. That's the best we could do because we don't have the power to force the government, to not engage with BlackRock. The government must have their reasons to do so. And I think one of the reasons is the commercial reality where BlackRock is the biggest financial, what shall I say, financial advisor, financial advisor, in the world, biggest. So because of that, they have got their networkings in place, which in the government's view, I believe, might help Malaysia airports, to move further to advance their business, But of course, we certainly would engage with the government to see if they can find some alternatives, if at all. But we really are, quite powerless in that sense to force the government, But we can certainly persuade the government to reconsider, if at all, of the alternatives. Is that okay?
In your view, right, how would this affect Malaysia's image as a country that has been staunchly anti Zionism? So, but we still doing business with
Yeah,
BlackRock.
there's some contradiction there,
Yeah.
right? Well, as I said, at the moment, there is no alternatives in sight, at least as far as we know. So perhaps we should find out, further with the government whether, they are considering some alternatives, some other alternatives. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Can you please?
The American administration, even from the highest level, President Biden, not seeing any indication that Israel is violating international law or committing genocide. While we are seeing people are starving there, all the international or United Nations agencies confirm that there is starvation, there is
Yes.
killings, there's attacks on the hospitals, schools, and the blockade are strengthening. Israel is not allowing any assistance aid to come to Gaza. So how do you look to it? How can we
I think
confirm to it?
the Jewish lobby in the US and perhaps globally are exerting a stranglehold on the American administration, I believe, so that the politicians, Congress and the Senate, they are beholden to this lobby because of their livelihood, I suspect. So much so that their stance taken by the politicians, is in contrast to the stand of the American public, as we all know. But I think uh, there's a power play in the US now, which is still very strong towards supporting Israel. And there's not much that the global community could force the US to do otherwise, except perhaps through actions such as sanctions and boycotts, at the moment. So I believe the only way is through the internal changes that might occur in the US itself. Hopefully, the American public would exert and increase pressure on the US government to see the reality of situation and resolve the massacre, the starvation, that which is right now occurring. I think as late as this morning, it was reported that one child, another child died of starvation. So only the American can force the American politicians to act towards this direction. But I think the global community can also raise their voices for America and perhaps some countries in the European Union to support the call to, open these, what shall I say, the crossings, including the Rafah crossing, I think, which is still blocked by Israel, to open immediately so that aids and food and medical supplies can come in, you know. So it's an unfortunate situation in my view that, the American administration, is being held beholden to the powerful Jewish lobby in the US as well as globally. I don't know why they're so powerful, but I think October 7 has revealed that much more clearly, I think.
Excellency, when United States claims that they are a champion of human rights, and when it comes to Malaysia, and they come to advise Malaysian government and other countries on human rights. We are in the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia. How do you look to it when they are coming to advise Malaysia?
Well,
taking care of human
to be
rights?
frank, since 1945, the US has been involved in the so-called human rights principles of sort of pushing for human rights principles to be observed by the global community. But because of this October 7, the double standard has shown that the US has sort of dented, its own principles, in contradiction to their stand previously after the Second World War. So that affects American credibility. I'm sure, it affects American credibility. And I think we in Malaysia, including SUHAKAM, I believe, we will be much more circumspect to sort of accept American talk about human rights.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Yes.
I'm Adil from Bernama. Okay,
Bernama.
so far what we've been doing is just, call for actions, sanctions, and also just condemnation, right? So would SUHAKAM also urge the government to take a more direct approach towards the conflict, like how Indonesia does, sending by a peacekeeping mission, if I'm not mistaken? So would SUHAKAM actually urge for that?
We have already urged the government to take a more proactive, firm actions. We have already, we have made a number of press statements already, including holding an open forum on Palestine recently. I think, when was that? In February, is it? In May, sorry. In May at University Malaya. So we have organized this open forum, and I think we have discussed the issues we mentioned today. And with that, we even impressed upon the foreign minister who attended the conference about the importance of the government support of the Palestinians. Thank you.
So is in SUHAKAM views that what the government doing is not sufficient?
Yes, I would say more. I think the government should sort of be more direct and firm towards solving the Palestinian problems. I mean, more can be done, of course, more can be done, definitely. Huh? Geneva. And and the government to uphold the Geneva Conventions, Genocide Convention, and also the Convention on the ethics of war, because the humanitarian laws, what we call humanitarian laws, actually are the laws of war. How, in war conditions, civilians, children, innocent civilians should be protected, and that, there shouldn't be a shortage or stoppage of food being supplied to the civilians, So that's the very expressed in those conventions, Geneva Convention and so on. But the thing is about this law on war and all that. There is this freedom or some kind of a license, to kill given to states in war to commit murder, even murder, but in the guise of legal legal justification of warfare, self-defense, which I think is an irony. It's totally becomes ironical and something which is looked upon negatively, that builds some kind of mistrust, now, especially now, amongst nations, especially the South, the Third World South, and some other countries like perhaps which is not a Western countries. Did that answer the question then? Yeah. Any more questions?
So, WHO declared that more than 8,000 children below 5 years age are under starvation, and they are facing huge shortage of food, milk, and other essential
Yes.
materials.
Yes.
And who will be responsible for that first? And how can we, the human rights organization, force the international community, especially the United States, to stop supporting
Yeah.
Israel openly
Yeah.
and without any
we can.
giving them carte blanche
Yes.
to violate human
Yeah,
rights.
we can voice out our views on this, but I think here the regional human rights institutions, the Ganhiri, the General Agreement, General, General Assembly of National Human Rights Institution, Ganhiri, which is our regional
Hmm.
human rights institution
ASEAN.
body, ASEAN, international. And I think from here we have to look from the scope of regional pressure, which I believe Indonesia is one of them exiting the pressure. Malaysia certainly will join hands with Indonesia and perhaps the rest of ASEAN countries, even perhaps with, non-ASEAN, if they are willing to cooperate with us, and we will continue to do so, and we intend to certainly voice this out. And one of the venues, I think, is through today's PC, hopefully,
Okay, let me put the question other way. What ASEAN can do to pressure United States and Israel to stop the genocide and starvation in Palestine?
Wow, that's not an easy question. Um, ASEAN, as you know, is having this neutrality policy, trying not to offend, both anybody. But when it comes to Palestine, I think even our Prime Minister has been very vocal. Even when he was in Germany recently, he was very vocal and pointed it out, even to the German media, of the Malaysia stand against genocide, against starvation and all that. And the German stand, I think, was totally, our European stand, US stand, was totally rejected by our Prime Minister. I think that reflects Malaysian position, and so also is the position of SUHAKAM. Yeah.
So we are not understanding what ASEAN can do,
That,
what you can ask ASEAN to do.
yeah, as I think we will coordinate with our ASEAN partners, and we have done so anyway in the past. So we will continue to engage with our Asian partners to put pressure. But as you know, I mean, let's be real. US and the European allies are very, very powerful. Unless Russia and China are willing to step in, I think the things will remain some kind in a state of stalemate, but hopefully, with increased pressure, including sanctions and boycotts from independent bodies like BDS, for example, and the concerted global action, hopefully it might sway the stand of the US and US lah. We're not talking about Israel, of course, because Israel, I think, is some kind of an extension of US, some kind of a proxy. But, the main body which we should try to exert pressure and engage, I think, is the United States. And to some extent, the EU countries like UK, France, and Germany. Thank you. Any other questions?
Can I ask something outside of Palestine? Is it possible?
Yes, such as?
On the Stateless Bajau community in Semporna. So a few days ago, I think on Monday, or is it Sunday, SUHAKAM said that it's closely monitoring the situation there.
Mm.
So do we have any updates about
You
the
mean
dispute?
in relation to the incident of burning?
Yes.
Burning of the
Yes.
eviction
Yeah, the
and burning?
displacement of the.
Well, there
stateless
is this
people.
report in the Borneo Post, I think yesterday.
Mhm.
Borneo Post, huh? Yeah. Please, Ashra, Ani, Alta.
Okay, yes. As you know, I think SUHAKAM did come out with a press statement saying, sharing our concern and that we are following closely. And to also note, we have actually also approached local authority. And as we speak, we are actually engaging with a number of the directors to find out further with the whole process of the eviction and whether any rights has been violated. And we will take this very seriously. And if there are any of concerns, again, we will inform the public.
So on the displaced members, have they found any places of shelter at the moment? And will they be taking any action against the enforcers if it's found that the rights have been violated?
I think once the outcome of the meeting that SUHAKAM is actually having as we speak, we will have more information to share. So I think it's too premature for us to come up with any statement as of now. Thank you.
Well, I just want to mention the Borneo Post reported that the authorities in Sabah denied that the burning came from them, you know. So I suspect there'll be some, this outside, please do not record this. I think there must be already attempts to, if at all, if it's true that state authorities are involved, there also, this is the indication of some cover up being taken. I'm not sure about that. Of course, we have no proof, but you know, I hope the culprits will be discovered sooner or later. Thank you. Yes, any more? Any more on Palestine?
Anything else from online?
Yes. Anything, anybody? Anne Gilong, who is Anne Gilong? Any question from online?
No, is it?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your attendance, and we really hope that you know, we all play our roles to help the Palestinians and the, you know, the Gazans, the Palestinians from the West End, and Palestinians as a whole to come to reach some kind of you know, state of reparation and you know, determination sooner or later. It's a tall order, but I think I'm optimistic that it's moving in the right direction, hopefully. Thank you so much. What is the name? Yeah, yeah. This year, isn't it? Sini kan? Bukan. Oh, I think tak apa. Withdrawal lah.